Hello everyone. My name is Ahmed, and today we are going to discuss about a very small basic chapter of science, basic unit of science. Let's get into it. So what's the first question I want to ask you is the what's the tiniest thing which is keeping us all of us alive, right? Do you have any ideas? Well, spoiler alert, this tiny unit is much smaller than rice, maybe even smaller than ants, right? Or much smaller. It's in the size of nanometers, right? So yeah, the thing which I'm calling uh, the answer is the cell. Okay, and this cell, it is the fundamental unit of the life. And why we call it as a fundamental unit of life, we will be discussing in our few slides. So these small cells, they are responsible to eventually make a full human, organism, animal, plant, whatever. Okay. So today we are going to discuss about the definition of the cell, the discovery of the cell, and the cell theory, which lots of scientists came together and they gave a concept called the cell theory. We will discuss that, and about the types of cells, prokaryotes and eukaryotes, right? And after section we will summarize it, and we will also give some previous year questions, or those questions which are helpful and they may come in your exams, right? So before starting to the cell biology topic, I want you to get to know that there are reference sources which I had taken these all the topics and those all the informations from. The first is the CK12 Life Science. CK12 Life Science is the open source, which can be found in mostly in the US curriculum, CK12 books. The second is the CBSE textbook of science. It is mostly used in Indian science. And the third is the Texas Education Board guideline, topic science. So in this Texas Education Board, they have certain kind of topics which might come in their exams, right? So from these three reference sources, I have made some few topics and gathered some few information. So from here you will get to know all the information. Okay. So firstly, to our topic, what is the cell basically? So the cell, it's like a, let's think the cell as a Lego brick. The small Lego brick which we all have used in our, when we were a child, when we were toddlers. We were gathering the small bricks and we were making it some uh, huge like structures, right? For example, a cat, a Lego cat, as you can see, or you can see like some small Lego human being. So basically from these small Lego bricks over here, yeah, a whole organism, or we were making some kind of cats or different structures, right? Cars, plants, or whatever, houses, like this. So in the same way, our cell, just think it as a Lego brick. Trillions and trillions of cells, they are responsible to provide some specific function. They are responsible to make some organs such as heart, liver, any brains, kidneys, whatever, right? And small organisms, the cell, they will be to come together, they will make a tissue, then organs, and then organism eventually. So this is what the cell is, right? So as you can see in this example, the small one, yeah, so this is the cell. Okay, and this is a heart cell. Yeah, so this heart cell over here, trillions and trillions of heart cells, they come together and they eventually they form a structure of heart, right? Now we all know that heart function is for the pumping of the blood, whereas this is the plant cell. And again, trillions and trillions of plant cells, they come together and they form a plant, right? So basically, we have lots and lots of cells. For example, the heart cell, let's say. What is the function? Its function is for the pumping of blood, right? And what is the function of the liver cell? Liver cell is used for the it makes liver, of course, and then eventually for the digestion. Then there are kidney cells for excretion of the waste. So what I mean to say is that small cells, they have, we don't have like particular one cell, right? We have heart cell, kidney cells, liver cells. So different kind of cells, we have different shapes and different functions. So that's why we call it as, other term is multicellular organisms, because we have multiple different types of cells, different shapes and different functions, right? So now let's summarize it. Okay, so the first was, what is cell, right? So cell is the smallest and the most fundamental unit, but that means the most basic unit of of living beings, right? It can, an example can be the liver cells, heart cells, plant cells, and bacterial cells, right? Yeah. And the different shapes and sizes of the cells in our human body, there are different types and sizes of the cells, as we had discussed, such as the heart cell, liver cell, and kidney cells, and etc., right? All cells have different functions. Heart cells for the functioning of the heart, kidney cells for excreting out urine from the body, and then there is a liver cells which is used for the digestion of the food and the metabolism. Okay, now, yeah, so secondly, before going to that, like we need to know, right, that how was this cell was discovered, right? So in earlier days, like in 1665, there was a British scientist. Okay, his name was Robert Hooke. Yeah, so this is the picture of the Robert Hooke. So this guy, what he did, from that on the champagne bottle, there is a small cork is there, like this kind of thing. Yeah, he took a slice of that cork and he put it under a microscope, and he saw some honeycomb-like structure. Like how this honeycomb-like structure looks like. It looks like a hexagonal structure, right? Fully yellowish color with six sides of hexagon, right? So as you can see on the microscope, he saw like this kind of structure, and if you focus on this area, the small dots or small circles, he termed this as the cell. Okay, so what did Robert Hooke uh, do, right? So he was the first person to coin the term cell. And from where, like this, from the honeycomb, he found like honeycomb like structure, right? And this was the microscope which Robert Hooke used. Interestingly, Robert, he made this microscope by himself, and he saw cork cells in it, right? From where exactly? Over here, as you can see. Over here, he put a slide of the cork cell and he saw it from here, right? Uh-huh. Right. And at that time, like we know, like nowadays we have a huge complex microscopes, which are lab microscopes, which you see. And these are that this was a very basic microscope, right? So like that's why you see that it's not so much better, or it's not so much good as like it is right like right now we see in some different cells in our normal microscopes, right? But yeah, this microscope was helpful for the discovery as well, right, for us. Then comes the fast forward, when we go, this guy is the father of microbiology, and his name is Anton van Leeuwenhoek, right? What this guy did is, why first he is called father of microbiology, was that firstly, after some time, he discovered that on the plaques, where the plaques are found on the teeth area near to the gums, he scraped that plaques around it, these of this guy, and he put in the microscope, and you know what he found? He found like actual living bacterial cells. Okay. And he was amazed to know that on the plaques area, the region where around the gums area, there are living cells. There are living cells, and he coined this as the he found that as a bacterial living cells. And at that time it was a huge discovery because no one was knowing about it. So that's why also he's also called as a father of microbiology. Father of microbiology basically means, father of microbiology means study of microbes, right? It can be either bacteria, virus, fungi, or archaea family of the bacteria, etc., right? So again, let's summarize. In the year 1665, there was a British scientist called Robert Hooke, right? He named the term cells, right? And how did he name the term? He sliced a cork and placed it under a microscope, and he saw a honeycomb-like structure, which he termed it as the cell. Next year, fast forward, the in Mr. Anton van Leeuwenhoek, he was the father of microbiology, and what he discovered? He discovered the bacterial cells. Were they dead cells? No, they were the living cells on teeth. Okay, from where? From the plaques of the teeth. Clear? Okay. We are discussing about the cell theory, right? So cell theory is a really very important concept, and it will come in your exams, whether it's a multiple choice or it's a subjective exam, because of this theory there are three principles. And because of after the discovery of this theory, there was exponentially great research in around the cells. And then we were able to get to know what were cells, tissues, organs, organism. So this is really a very important concept, but it's very easy to know. So let's get into it. So firstly, in the year 1838, there was a scientist called Matthias Schleiden, right? Then comes in the 1839, there was another scientist who was called as Theodor Schwann, and in the year 1855 there was another scientist who was Rudolf Virchow, right? So firstly, in 1838, this is a plant, right? So this Schleiden guy, he was a botanist. Botanist means those guys who study the biology of plants, right? And this guy came with an interesting concept that, hey, you know what, that all plant cells, all the plants are made up of plant cells. Basic concept, right? Then this one guy, he was a zoologist. Zoologist means those who study about animals. And this guy also came with a concept that all the animals like us are made up of animal cells. Then Rudolf Virchow came with a very interesting concept that there is a thing called cell division. That means the one cell is able to generate another cell, right? Cells don't come out of nowhere. They go with a mitosis, or like a cellular division. From one cell it comes with the two cells, right? So this three guys came with an one concept, and together they make a theory called cell theory. So there are three principles. So one by one, let's get to know what these means. Like the first principle is the all organisms are made up of cells, right? Whether it's a plant cell, whether these are plants, bacteria, animals, humans, cats, dogs, everything, right? And one interesting example I would like to give is, suppose if it's a sperm cell. Sperm cells are present in the males, and another is the ova or ova cells, which is present in the females. So if these two cells, they come together, they will after some processes they will make zygote. And let's say this is zygote, right? Or yeah. And this zygote cell will eventually form a small human baby, and this human baby will eventually form a human, right? So what we learn from this principle one, that from single one cell, one cell from male, one cell from female, they come together, they make a big huge cell, then the huge cell goes for division, mitosis, and then it forms a human organism. Same applies to animals, right? Or dogs, cats, everyone. So this was the principle one. Then this cell, it was making suppose brain cells were making brain, right? It was like CNS, central nervous system, autonomic nervous system. They we form heart cells, liver cells, kidney cells, etc., as we had discussed in our earlier slides, right? So this was the first principle. Second principle was life happens in the cell, right? Seems like a very confusing statement, right? So let's draw a diagram. Suppose this is a cell, and this is a nucleus, and these are the small dots, as you can see. And just imagine it as a city map, right? This is also a city map, and as you can see in the city map, there are small few buildings are there. There are small this is a, suppose this is a police station, this is a park. So you can see there are small different buildings are there, right? In city, what we have schools, we have sewage system, we have hospitals, we have police stations, right? And each and every buildings, they have a different function. For example, school is for education, sewage system is for the wastage, hospitals are for the healthcare. So in the same way, in our cell, this is a cell, these small dots, they are called as a organelles. And these organelles, they have different functions. They make proteins, and then these proteins, they are responsible for specific function, right? So as I had mentioned, that the heart cell are responsible for the pumping of the heart, right? Liver cells are for the digestion. So that's how each and because of the small functions, we are like, we should be glad we should be glad that every day we can see a new life from that, right? And so because of the small biochemical reactions, we are able to be alive, right? So this was the second principle. And these are the few examples of what the organelles are. So the organelles can be microvilli, centrioles, mitochondria, microtubules, cytoplasm, cell membrane, Golgi apparatus. These are the organelles, and about this organelle we will be discussing in our next lectures. Okay, so this lecture is just for the introduction and the how the cell and what was the discovery, right? So yeah, the last and but not the least, this is the cells come from the another cell. So as I had mentioned earlier, cells don't come out of nowhere, right? There should be something. So as you can see in this image as well, this one cell of this is the one cell. It is going through a division and it is forming the two cells, right? So again, if I draw like that, let's say this is the for one cell. This one cell will cellular division, and then there will be two cells, right? So this was a theory which was given by, yes, Dr. Rudolf Virchow, right? So this was about this one cellular division, and the cellular division we have mitosis, that means the growth of the cells. For example, suppose if you got if you got injured on over here, so after 4 weeks you will see that everything gets normal because of the mitosis, the cellular division taking place. Meiosis is the birth, like for example, from one sperm cell to the from one sperm cell of the male and second ova cell from the female, we get a new baby. That is a meiosis, right? Now again, let's summarize. Theodor Schwann was a zoologist. Matthias Jacob Schleden was botanist, and Dr. Rudolf Virchow was these three guys. They came together and they gave a theory which has three principles, right? The first principle was that the all organisms are made up of one or more cells. All life functions occurs in organism within the cells, and all cells come from the pre-existing cells, correct? This was the basic cell theory. And also in examination as well, they may ask you that who are the scientists who gave this cell theory, and explain the each and every principle in a detailed manner. So that's how you can give the explanation, right? Now before completing this, I want to give you that there are two types of cells, right? The one is called as prokaryotic cell, and the another are eukaryotic cell. Okay, this thing, the classic example is the bacteria, and here there are plants, animals, fungi, or etc., humans as well. So the main difference is that these prokaryotic cells, they are unicellular. That means there is only one type of cell which is responsible to make a fully grown organism. Okay, and here there are multicellular. Multicellular means there are lots of different type of cells: heart cells, liver cells, kidney cells, brain cells, etc., right? So let me give you one example. Suppose if I draw a cell like this, and you know about the DNA, right? These DNA, it's a genetic material which is present in all the cells. If you see a cell and a DNA which is just floating around inside the cells, and this is just the cytoplasm of the cell. Yeah, if you see a DNA which is just floating around like this, we call it as prokaryote cell, and where we found in bacteria, right? Now if you see another cell which has a circle, what is it? It's a nucleus. Now you will ask, sir, what is nucleus? Nucleus is like a principal, of the school, right? So it checks all the activity, and inside the nucleus there is our DNA, which is stored and which is placed safely. And do you remember the city map which I had told you, right? So these are the organelles, small organelles, and it's the complex looking like a cell. This is a eukaryotic cell, and where we find in plants, animals, humans, fungus, etc. Right? So this was the basic difference of the two types of cells, prokaryotic cells and the eukaryotic cells. Let's see more differences, right? So how we differentiate? The definition is that in eukaryotic cells, any cell that contain clearly defined nucleus and a membrane-bound organelles. Whereas in eukaryotic cells, it's a unicellular and it does not contain membrane-bound nucleus or organelles, right? This was the one thing. What were the examples? Animal, plant, fungi, protist in eukaryotes, whereas in prokaryotes are bacteria and archaea. Archaea are the family of the bacteria, right? Nucleus is present in the eukaryotes, absent in the prokaryotes. Cell size is larger in eukaryotes, cell size is smaller in prokaryotes. DNA replication is highly regulated and selectively origin and sequences occurs, right? This in prokaryotes, DNA replicates entire genome only at once. So for example, in our body, DNA need to replicate again and again and again, because the new cells are forming again and again and again. Whereas in bacteria, once the DNA replication happens, it's done. It is never going to happen again, right? And the organisms here are the multicellular, and here the prokaryotes are the unicellular. So this was about the pattern and how what is the definition of the cells, the types of cells, discovery, and the cell theory, right? Now let's get into some practice questions and let's make our concepts more stronger. So the first is, what did Robert Hooke see when he looked at the cork under a microscope? Did Robert Hooke see bacterial cells? No, it was, yes, Anton Leeuwenhoek, right? Did he saw the plant organelles? No. Animal cells? No. What did he see? He saw a honeycomb-like structure, which he gave the term as the cell. Honeycomb-like structure from the cork. Okay, so this is the B is the answer. Second, all cells have a nucleus. Is it true? No. Why? Because bacterial cells are prokaryotes and they don't have nucleus. So in us, humans, animals, plants, we do have nucleus, right? Now the third question, name one of the three scientists who helped develop the cell theory. One was the Theodor Schwann. Second was Michel. Second was Michel Schleiden. And third was, yes, Robert Hooke. Not Robert Hooke. Rudolf Virchow. Correct? One is done. First, second, third, right? Fourth, which principle of the cell theory says that the new cells come from the existing cells, right? First principle was given by the botanist guy. It was all about plant cells, right? Correct. Second principle was for zoologist. It was all about animal cells. And third principle was about the Dr. Rudolf Virchow, and he gave this term as cell division, right? So which will be the answer? Yes, principle 3. correct? Another one, true or false, a bacterium is an example of multicellular organism. Is it true? Yes, it's false. Why? Because bacteria are unicellular. Okay. Okay. Now, who is the father of microbiology? What was this guy called? Yes, it was Anton Leeuwenhoek, right? All right. So we had done in we had practiced our questions. We had given we had went through the whole cell definition, cell type, cell theory, and this was about the basic introduction, we can say, about the cell biology. And in the next lectures, we will be discussing about cellular organelles, types of organelles, and we will be going much more deeper in all the concepts and we will discuss each and every topic about the organelles. Okay.